The night my son hit me, it was snowing. Soft. Quiet. The kind of snow that makes everything look like a greeting card. I remember standing on his porch, holding an apple pie that was still warm. I had wrapped it in my late husband's favorite dish towel. The red one with the little white snowflakes. I thought about that towel a lot afterward. How I chose it so carefully that morning. How I ironed it flat. How it smelled like cinnamon and home. Funny, the things you remember when your world cracks open. Hello there. My name is Ruth. Ruth Evelyn Jennings. I am 68 years old, and I live in a small brick house in Westerville, Ohio. It is a quiet town just north of Columbus. The kind of place where neighbors still wave from their driveways. Where the librarians know your name. I have lived here for 41 years. Raised my son in this house. Buried my husband from this house. And now, most days, I sit in my kitchen alone, drinking tea and listening to the birds outside my window. I am not telling you this for sympathy. I am telling you because I want you to understand something. When the events of that Christmas happened, I was not some fragile, confused old woman. I knew exactly who I was. I knew exactly what I was worth. The question was whether my son remembered. Let me start from the beginning. I married Harold Jennings when I was 23. He was a tax accountant. Not glamorous, I know. But he was steady, honest. The kind of man who read the fine print on everything and never signed a document he did not understand. Ruthie, he used to say, your name means something. Don't ever put it on a lie. I loved him for that. For his quiet principles. For the way he protected our family not with his fists, but with his planning. His foresight. We had one child, a boy, Darren Michael Jennings. He was a beautiful baby. Serious eyes. Curious hands. I remember how he used to grab my finger and hold on like I was his whole world. For a long time, I was. Darren grew up smart. Too smart, maybe. He learned early that words could be weapons. That charm could open doors. That the right smile at the right moment could make people forget what he had done 5 minutes ago. I saw it. Of course I saw it. But I told myself it was just cleverness. Just ambition. Harold saw it differently. That boy needs boundaries, he told me once, when Darren was 16. He thinks love means we'll always clean up his mess. We have to teach him otherwise. I nodded, but in my heart, I wondered if Harold was being too hard. Too strict. Now I know. He was not hard enough. Neither was I. Darren married Nicole when he was 32. She was pretty. Blonde hair. Perfect teeth. The kind of woman who photographs well and knows it. I tried to like her. I really did, but there was something in her eyes when she looked at me. Something measuring, like she was calculating my worth and finding me lacking. The first time I visited their apartment, she made a comment about my shoes. Oh, are those from Payless? How thrifty. She smiled when she said it. But the blade was there. I did not say anything. I just smiled back and complimented her curtains. That was my first mistake. Silence, when repeated, becomes permission. Harold passed away 4 years ago. Pancreatic cancer. Fast and cruel. He left me the house. He left me his pension. And he left me something else. A family trust. Now, I did not understand all the legal details at first. Harold had set it up with a lawyer years before his diagnosis. But the basics were simple. He had put money aside. Property too. All of it held in trust for the family. And I was named what they called the trust protector. That meant I had the final say over how the assets were used. Who benefited? Who did not? Darren knew about the trust. He did not know all the details. That would become important later. After Harold died, Darren and Nicole needed help buying a house. They came to me with papers. Lots of papers. Loan applications. Bank statements. Forms I did not fully understand. "Mom," Darren said, "we just need you to co-sign a few things. It's standard. Everyone does it." I looked at the documents. Some of the numbers did not match what I knew about their income. "Darren," I said carefully, "this form says you make more than you actually do." He waved his hand. "It's just an estimate. Don't worry about it." But I did worry. Because Harold's voice was in my head. "Your name means something. Don't put it on a lie." "I can't sign this," I told him. "If the numbers aren't accurate, I can't put my name on it." The silence that followed was long. Cold. "Fine," Darren said finally. "We'll figure it out ourselves." He did not yell. He did not argue. He just looked at me like I had betrayed him. And maybe, in his mind, I had. They got the house anyway. A different loan. A different path. It was a beautiful place. Big lawn. 2-car garage. The kind of house that looks perfect in photographs. What Darren did not fully understand was that Harold had arranged for the trust to purchase the property. Darren and Nicole were permitted to live there rent-free, with taxes and insurance covered, as long as they followed the trust's guidelines. Darren knew the trust owned the house. But he treated it like his own. And I never corrected him. Another mistake. Nicole posted about their home constantly on social media. "Blessed beyond measure. God is good. Living our best life." I saw those posts. I wondered if she knew that blessings do not come from square footage. That goodness is not measured in countertops. But I did not say anything. What would be the point? There was another incident. 2 years ago, Darren came to a family dinner at my house. Easter, I think. He had been drinking. Not falling down drunk, but enough that I could smell it on his breath when he hugged me. At the end of the night, he grabbed his keys. "Darren," I said quietly, "let me call you a car." "Please." "I'm fine, Mom." "You're not. I can tell. Just let me." I said I'm fine. He was angry. That cold, tight anger he had learned to wear like armor. So I did something I am not proud of. When he went to the bathroom, I called a rideshare to come to the house. Then I mentioned to his cousin, who worked at the same company, that Darren might not be in any condition to drive. I thought I was protecting him. Instead, his cousin mentioned it to their supervisor. There was a meeting. Wellness check. Nothing serious came of it. But Darren was humiliated. "You almost cost me my job," he said on the phone afterward. "Do you understand that? My job. I was worried about you. You were worried about yourself. About looking like a good mother. You didn't think about me at all." He hung up. We did not speak for 3 months. I tell you these things not to make excuses. Not to explain away what happened later. I tell you because I want you to understand the shape of our relationship. The cracks that had been forming for years. By the time that Christmas came, Darren and I were polite. Distant. Like two strangers who happened to share a history. And Nicole? She had stopped pretending altogether. No more, "How are you, Mom?" No more careful smiles. Just coldness. Just the cold shoulder dressed up as busy schedules. So why did I go? Why did I bake that pie? Why did I wrap Harold's red wool scarf in tissue paper and drive 40 minutes through the snow to a house where I knew I was not welcome? Because he was my son. Because it was Christmas. Because some part of me, the part that still remembered his tiny hand wrapped around my finger, believed that maybe this year would be different. I was wrong. But hope is a stubborn thing. I arrived at 6 o'clock. The house glowed. String lights wrapped around the porch. A wreath on the door. Through the window, I could see the tree tall, perfect, every ornament placed just so. I stood there for a moment, holding my pie. My chest felt tight, not just from the cold. You see, I have a lung condition. Nothing dramatic, just years of mild asthma that worsened with age. My doctor had been clear: avoid smoke, avoid dust, avoid heavy fragrances. Keep the air clean. I could already smell the candles from outside. That sweet, synthetic vanilla. It made my throat itch. But I told myself just a few hours. Be pleasant. Don't complain. I rang the doorbell. Nicole opened the door. She was wearing a cream-colored dress. Pearls. Her hair was perfect. Ruth. Not, Mom. Not even, hello. Merry Christmas, sweetheart, I said, holding out the pie. I made it this morning. Apple. Darren's favorite. She took it with 2 fingers, like it might be contaminated. Oh, you made it yourself. How? Vintage. Behind her, Darren appeared. He was holding a glass of wine. Hey, Mom, come in. Don't just stand there letting the cold in. It was not a greeting. It was an instruction. I stepped inside. The warmth hit me. Then the smell. Candles. So many candles. And something else underneath. Cigarette smoke. Faint, but unmistakable. My chest tightened. The house looks beautiful, I said, because I was taught that kindness costs nothing. Nicole shrugged. We try. She did not offer to take my coat. She did not offer me a drink. She just walked back toward the kitchen, still carrying my pie like it was evidence of something embarrassing. I stood in the foyer, alone, and reminded myself to breathe. The living room was full of people I did not know. Nicole's friends, I assumed. Young, loud, already laughing too hard at jokes I could not hear. Darren had disappeared somewhere. The kitchen, maybe. Or the back patio where the men liked to stand around and talk about things that did not matter. I found a chair in the corner. Sat down. Folded my hands in my lap. No one spoke to me. The Christmas music was playing. Silver Bells. White Christmas. All the songs Harold and I used to dance to in our kitchen. I thought about him. About how he would have hated this party. All this performance. All this polish with nothing real underneath. You okay over here? I looked up. A woman I did not recognize. One of Nicole's friends. I'm fine, thank you. You're Darren's mom, right? Yes. She nodded like that explained something. Then she drifted away. At 7:30, I noticed the cigarettes. A pack sitting on the coffee table. Open. Casual. Like they belonged there. My throat tightened again. Not just from the smoke I could still smell, but from the knowing. The carelessness. Nicole knew about my lungs. I had told her years ago, when she first started smoking. I had asked, politely, if she might step outside when she needed a cigarette. She had looked at me like I had asked her to crawl. It's my house, she had said. I'll do what I want in my own house. That was 4 years ago. Nothing had changed. If anything, it had gotten worse. I watched her all evening. The way she moved through the room like she owned everyone in it. The way she touched Darren's arm, possessive, not tender. The way she laughed at things that were not funny and agreed with people who were clearly wrong. She was performing. Every moment, every gesture. And Darren? He was performing too. The successful son. The good husband. The man who had everything figured out. They had built a beautiful lie together. And I was just the old woman in the corner who did not fit the picture. At 8 o'clock, Nicole lit a cigarette. Right there, in the living room. By the window she had cracked open barely an inch. The smoke drifted. Found me. I coughed. Quietly. Tried to suppress it. But my chest was burning. My eyes were watering. Every breath felt like swallowing sandpaper. I looked at Darren. He saw me. He saw me struggling. He looked away. I should have left then. I should have stood up, gathered my coat, and walked out the door into the clean, cold air. But I did not, because I still believed, foolishly, that my son would remember who I was. That somewhere under all that performance, he still loved me. I had no idea what was coming. The snow kept falling. The music kept playing. And I sat in my corner, waiting for a kindness that would never arrive. What happened next would change everything. But that, my friends, is a story for another chapter. I want to tell you something about silence. People think it means weakness. Giving in. Letting someone walk over you without a fight. But that is not always true. Sometimes silence is a choice. A strategy. A way of surviving when speaking would cost you everything. I learned to be silent with my son. Not because I had nothing to say, but because every word I spoke seemed to make things worse. That Christmas night, sitting in Nicole's living room with smoke curling toward the ceiling, I was silent. But inside, I was remembering. Counting. Adding up all the moments that had led us here. Let me take you back. Before the party. Before the pie. Before that night changed everything. About a year after Harold died, Darren and Nicole invited me to dinner at their house. It was rare. They never called unless they needed something. So when the invitation came, I felt hope. Foolish, tender hope. I dressed carefully, brought flowers, drove to their perfect house with its perfect lawn and its perfect wreath on the door. Nicole answered. She was wearing yoga pants and a sweatshirt. Her hair was messy. She looked surprised to see me dressed up. "Oh, you're here already. Am I early? You said 6. Did I?" She shrugged. "Come in, I guess." The house smelled like cigarettes. Not faint. Strong. Like the windows had not been opened in days. I tried not to react. But my chest tightened immediately. "Nicole," I said carefully, "would you mind if I opened a window?" "Just a crack?" "The smoke is." She turned. Looked at me. That measuring look I had come to know so well. "It's 30 degrees outside, Ruth." "I know. I'm sorry. It's just my lungs." The doctor said. "Your doctor says a lot of things." She walked toward the kitchen. "Darren's in the back. Go find him." That was it. No apology. No accommodation. Just dismissal. I stood there, alone, trying to breathe. Darren was on the back patio. Drinking a beer. Scrolling through his phone. "Hey, Mom." "Hi, sweetheart." He did not look up. Did not hug me. Just kept scrolling. "How's work?" I asked. "Fine." "And the house? Everything okay?" "Fine." I waited. He said nothing else. "Darren." I sat down across from him. "Is everything all right between us?" He finally looked up. His eyes were flat, distant. "What do you mean?" "I mean, you don't call. You don't visit. When I try to reach out, Nicole says you're busy. I feel like I've done something wrong, but I don't know what." He set down his phone. Leaned back. "Mom, do we have to do this?" "Do what?" "This whole emotional conversation thing. I'm tired. Work is crazy. Nicole's stressed about her blog. I don't have the energy for drama." I felt the word like a slap. "Drama. I'm not trying to create drama," I said quietly. "I just want to understand." "There's nothing to understand. We're fine. Everything's fine. Can we just have a normal dinner?" But nothing was normal. Nothing had been normal for years. At dinner, I learned what they really wanted. The trust. Harold's trust. "So, Mom," Darren said, twirling pasta on his fork, "Nicole and I have been talking about the future." "Okay." The trust Dad set up. "We were wondering if we could Restructure it a little. I set down my fork. Restructure how? Well, technically, this house is held in the trust, right? Dad arranged for it to be purchased through the trust for us to live in? That's right. You live here rent-free. The trust covers taxes and insurance. Right. But we don't actually own it. I was quiet. I knew where this was going. We were thinking, Nicole chimed in, that it might be easier if the house was just transferred to us outright. Then we could refinance, take out some equity, do some renovations. I looked at my son, at his wife, at their beautiful dining room with its crystal chandelier and its expensive dishes. Harold set up the trust that way for a reason, I said. The house is protected. It can't be sold out from under you. It can't be taken by creditors. It's there for you, always, as long as you follow the guidelines. Guidelines. Darren's voice was sharp. You mean Dad's rules. From beyond the grave. They're not arbitrary rules, Darren. They're protections. They're control. He pushed back from the table. He's been dead for 3 years, and he's still controlling everything. What I can do with this house. How I live my life. It's not your house. The words came out before I could stop them. Not legally. It belongs to the trust. And I'm the trust protector. The silence that followed was terrible. Nicole's face went hard. Darren's went red. So that's it, he said. You have all the power. You decide what we get. What we don't get. Darren, that's not. I think we're done with dinner. He stood up. Nicole, can you show my mother out? That was nearly 3 years ago now. We barely spoke after that. I tell you this because I want you to understand the layers. It was not just the cigarettes. It was not just that Christmas night. It was money. It was power. It was Darren's belief that I was standing between him and what he deserved. And Nicole? She had her own reasons. Nicole ran a blog. Blessed and Best, that was the name. Christian lifestyle content, motherhood tips, home decor ideas, scripture quotes over photos of her perfect kitchen. She had followers, thousands of them, people who believed the image she projected. Happy marriage, devoted faith, grateful heart. It was all performance. I knew because I had seen behind the curtain. The way she snapped at Darren when no one was watching. The empty wine bottles hidden in the recycling bin. The cigarettes she swore she had quit but never did. Once, I made the mistake of mentioning it. We were at Easter brunch a different year, before the drunk driving incident. Nicole had just posted a photo captioned, "Blessed by His grace," with a cross necklace she had bought that morning. That's a beautiful necklace, I said. I didn't know you were religious. She stiffened. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. I've never seen you go to church. I didn't realize. I don't need a building to have faith, Ruth. Of course not. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. You're always judging me. Her voice dropped. Low. Venomous. Every time you come over. Every time you look at me. I can feel you judging. Nicole, I'm not. The smoking. The drinking. The way I keep my house. Nothing is ever good enough for you. I was stunned. I had never criticized any of those things. Not out loud. I had only asked once for her to smoke outside. For my health. But in Nicole's mind, that one request had become a verdict. A condemnation. She saw my silence as judgment. My presence as criticism. There was nothing I could say to change that. Back to Christmas. The party continued. The smoke thickened. My chest grew tighter. By 9 o'clock, I was struggling. Not dramatically. Not clutching my throat or gasping for air. Just struggling. Every breath was work. My eyes were watering. My head was starting to pound. I looked around the room. Everyone was laughing. drinking, having a wonderful time. No one noticed me. Finally, I could not take it anymore. I stood up, walked toward Nicole. She was standing by the window, the barely open window, lighting another cigarette. Nicole. I kept my voice soft. Polite. I'm so sorry to bother you. She did not turn around. What is it, Ruth? The smoke. It's really bothering my lungs tonight. Would it be possible for you to step outside? Just for a few minutes? She took a long drag. Exhaled toward the window. Most of it blew back inside. It's snowing, Ruth. I know. I'm sorry. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't. You're always asking for something. She finally turned. Her eyes were cold. Every time you come here, something's always wrong. The candles are too strong. The food has too much salt. The smoke is too much. I have a medical condition. We all have conditions. She cut me off. Mine is that I don't like being told what to do in my own home. I felt my face flush. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm asking, please. And I'm saying no. Darren appeared. He must have heard us. What's going on? Your mother is complaining about my cigarettes. Again. He looked at me. That flat, distant look. Mom, come on. It's Christmas. I know it's Christmas. That's why I came. But Darren, you know I can't be around smoke. You know what the doctor said. The doctor says a lot of things. The same words Nicole had used. Can't you just sit near the door or something? Get some fresh air? The door is closed. The windows are barely cracked. The whole house is full of smoke. So step outside for a minute. I stared at him. You want me to go stand in the snow so your wife can smoke inside? I want you to stop making everything about you. His voice rose slightly. It's one night, Mom. One night. Can't you just be flexible for once? Flexible. That word. That terrible word. I had been flexible for years. Decades. Bending myself into shapes that made other people comfortable. Shrinking so others could expand. And now my son was asking me to bend again. To shrink again. To stand outside in the cold so his wife could poison the air. Darren. I kept my voice steady. I have spent this entire evening sitting in a corner. Alone. No one has spoken to me. No one has offered me a drink or a plate of food. I brought a pie, and I have no idea where it even is. Mom, I am 68 years old. I am not asking for much. I am asking for 1 hour of clean air so I can breathe. He looked at Nicole. She raised her eyebrows. Took another drag. Maybe you should just go home, he said finally. If you're not comfortable. I felt something crack inside me. Small, quiet, but real. You want me to leave? I didn't say that. You said maybe I should go home. On Christmas. Because I asked to breathe. He said nothing. Nicole smiled. Not a kind smile. A victorious one. I did not leave. I should have. I know that now. But some stubborn, wounded part of me refused. If I left, they won. If I left, I was exactly what Nicole thought I was, a complaining old woman who could not handle anything. So I sat back down. In my corner. And I tried to breathe through my mouth. The smoke kept coming. The music kept playing. And I kept counting. The number of times my son had looked at me that night, 3. The number of times he had smiled at me, 0. The number of times Nicole had called me, Mom, 0. The number of times anyone had asked how I was doing once. A stranger. I was invisible. Less than invisible. I was an inconvenience. Around 10 o'clock, I made a decision. Not to leave. Not yet. But to stop apologizing. I had spent my whole life being polite. Being small. Being the kind of woman who never made waves. Harold used to say, Ruthie, you're too nice. Someday someone's going to take advantage of that. I had laughed. Being nice isn't a weakness. No, he had said. But being silent when you should speak? That's not nice. That's just fear. He was right. I had been afraid. Afraid of losing my son. Afraid of making things worse. But things were already bad. They had been bad for years. My silence had not protected anything. It had just given Darren and Nicole permission to keep pushing. I took out my phone. Scrolled through my photos. There was one of Harold and me. Our last Christmas together. He was wearing the red wool scarf I had brought for Darren tonight, the one still sitting in my bag, unwrapped. I looked at his face. That steady, honest face. "What would you do?" I whispered. He did not answer. Of course he did not. But I knew anyway. He would have spoken up. He would have said, calmly and clearly, exactly what he needed. And if they could not respect that, he would have walked away. No drama. No tears. Just dignity. I put the phone away. Took a breath as deep as I could manage. I would speak. Tonight. Now. I would say what I needed to say. Not in anger. Not in accusation. Just truth. And whatever happened after that, at least I would know I had tried. I had no idea how badly that would go. I had no idea what my son was capable of. But I was about to find out. I stayed until almost 11. I do not know why. Stubbornness, maybe. Or the hope that dies slower than it should. The party had thinned out. Most of Nicole's friends had gone home. The music was softer now. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. The Judy Garland version. Harold and I used to dance to that song in our kitchen. Slow circles around the table. His hand warm on my back. I missed him so much in that moment. More than I had in months. I was still sitting in my corner. My throat was raw. My eyes burned. But I had made a decision. I would speak. Not tomorrow. Tonight. One more try. One clear, calm request. And then, whatever happened, I would know I had stood up for myself. I watched Nicole across the room. She was on the couch now. Darren beside her. They were looking at something on her phone. Laughing. They looked happy. Normal. Like a couple in a commercial. I wondered if they even remembered I was there. Nicole reached for the cigarette pack on the coffee table. My stomach tightened. She pulled one out. Put it between her lips. Reached for her lighter. I stood up. My knees ached. My chest ached worse. But I walked across the room. Slow. Steady. They both looked up. Surprised. Like the furniture had suddenly started moving on its own. "Nicole," I said. My voice was quiet. "Before you light that, here we go." She rolled her eyes. "Please. Let me finish." She paused. The unlit cigarette dangled from her fingers. "I have something to say. And I need you both to hear me." Darren shifted. Uncomfortable. "Mom, it's late. I know. This won't take long." I took a breath. Felt the rattle in my lungs. "I love you, Darren. I love you more than I can say. You are my only child. My only son. There is nothing I wouldn't do for you." He said nothing. His face was blank. But I am also a person. An old woman with bad lungs and a broken heart. And tonight, this whole night, I have felt invisible. Unwelcome. Like a problem to be tolerated. Nicole opened her mouth. I held up my hand. "I'm not finished." She closed it. Her eyes narrowed. "I have asked for one thing. One small accommodation. Not because I'm difficult. Not because I want attention. Because my actual doctor has told me that secondhand smoke is dangerous for my condition. I could develop pneumonia. I could end up in the hospital." I looked at Nicole. Then at Darren. "All I'm asking is this, just for tonight, smoke outside. That's it. That's all." Silence. The music played. The Christmas tree lights blinked. Red, green, gold. Then Nicole laughed. Not a real laugh. A short, sharp sound. Like a bark. You know what, Ruth? I feel sorry for you. Excuse me? You come here, to our house, on Christmas, and you make everything about you. Your lungs. Your feelings. Your needs. She shook her head. Do you ever think about anyone else? I felt heat rise to my face. I think about everyone else. That's all I ever do. Really? Because from where I'm sitting, you're just a lonely old woman who can't stand that her son has his own life now. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. She lit the cigarette, took a long drag, blew the smoke in my direction. Deal with it. I looked at Darren, my son, my baby, the boy I had nursed through fevers, the teenager I had driven to soccer practice in the rain, the man I had believed, until this very moment, still loved me somewhere underneath all that coldness. Darren. He would not meet my eyes. Darren, please. Say something. He sighed. Like I was exhausting him. Like my existence was a burden too heavy to bear. Mom, it's Christmas. Can't we just have one night without all this? Drama? That word again. Drama. I'm not creating drama. I'm asking to be treated with basic respect. You're always asking for something. I have asked for almost nothing. For years, I have sat quietly. I have smiled. I have accepted every dismissal, every coldness, every cancelled visit. I have made myself small so you could have your space. And this tonight is where it's gotten me. My voice cracked. I hated it. I did not want to cry. I wanted to be strong, clear, unshakable, but I was human. And I was breaking. Just for today, I said. Softer now, almost pleading. Can't you show me a little respect? Just for today? Darren's jaw tightened. Nicole smirked. She was enjoying this. I could see it in her eyes. Respect is earned, Darren said. You don't get it just because you're old. The words hit me like a fist. But they were just words. Just sounds. What came next was worse. You know what your problem is, Mom? Darren stood up. He was taller than me. Broader. I had forgotten how big he had become. You think because Dad left you in charge of the trust, you get to control everything. You get to sit in judgment. Decide what we deserve. That's not what You wouldn't sign the loan papers. You humiliated me at work. You come to my house and lecture my wife about her smoking. I never lectured anyone. You're always watching, always judging, like you're better than us. Darren, I don't think I'm better than anyone. Then why won't you just leave us alone? He was shouting now, his face red, his hands clenched. I stepped back. Instinct. I came because you invited me, I said. My voice was shaking. I came because it's Christmas. Because I wanted to see my son. Well, you've seen me. Now go home. I should have left. I know that. Believe me, I know. But something in me, something tired and stubborn and 68 years old, refused to be dismissed. No, I said. Darren blinked. What? I said no. I am not leaving like this. Not until we talk. Really talk. There's nothing to talk about. There's everything to talk about. I stepped forward. You are my son. I love you. But somewhere along the way, you started treating me like an enemy. And I don't understand why. Mom, was it the loan papers? Because I couldn't lie for you? Or the rideshare because I was worried about you driving after drinking? What did I do that was so unforgivable? He said nothing. Tell me, please. Because I have been over it in my head 1,000 times, and I cannot figure out what I did wrong. Nicole stood up. She walked toward me. Close. Too close. You want to know what you did wrong? Yes. You exist. She smiled. That cold, cruel smile. You exist, and you control the money, and you won't give it to us. That's your crime, Ruth. Being in the way. I stared at her. Then at Darren. Is that true? Is this all about money? He looked away. Darren, answer me. You have everything, he said quietly. The house. The trust. All of Dad's money. And you just sit on it. While we struggle. You don't struggle. You live in a beautiful house. You have good jobs. You want for nothing. We want what's rightfully ours. It's not yours. It's your father's legacy. He worked his whole life for it. He set it up to protect the family. All of us. Including you. Protect us from what? From yourselves. The words came out before I could stop them. From making decisions you'd regret. The slap came from nowhere. I did not even see his hand move. Just felt it. The crack of his palm against my cheek. The flash of white behind my eyes. I stumbled. Caught myself on the arm of the couch. For a moment, everything was silent. Even the music seemed to stop. I touched my face. It was hot. Already swelling. Darren was staring at his own hand. Like he did not recognize it. Nicole was smiling. Darren, I whispered. He looked at me. His eyes were wild. Scared. Angry. You made me do that, he said. You pushed and pushed. I didn't make you do anything. You never stop. You never just let things go. My face throbbed. My heart was pounding. But something strange was happening. I was not afraid. I was not even angry. I was clear. For the first time in years, everything was perfectly, terribly clear. You hit me, I said. Not a question. A statement of fact. Your mother. On Christmas. You hit me. Mom. No. I held up my hand. The same hand I had used to wipe his tears when he was small. Don't. I straightened my posture. Looked at Nicole. She was still smiling. But there was something nervous beneath it now. I hope you're done with your little victim act, she said. Nobody feels sorry for you. I did not respond. Just looked at her. Long. Steady. Then I turned and walked toward the bathroom. In the mirror, my cheek was bright red. Already beginning to bruise. I took a picture. Then another. Different angles. Evidence. My hands were shaking. But my mind was calm. Harold's voice in my head. Document everything. Paper trails save lives. He had been talking about financial records. But it applied here too. I splashed cold water on my face. Pressed a wet towel to my cheek. The woman in the mirror looked old. Tired. Hurt. But she also looked something else. Resolved. I knew what I had to do now. What Harold had prepared for, all those years ago, when he established the trust. He had built in protections. Safeguards. Conditions that could be triggered if certain lines were crossed. Tonight, Darren had crossed one. And he had no idea what was coming. I stayed in that bathroom for 15 minutes. Maybe longer. I heard them arguing outside. Nicole's voice, sharp and defensive. Darren's, low and frightened. Let them worry. Let them wonder. I was done explaining. Done asking. Done hoping for a kindness that would never come. When I finally opened that door, I would not be the same woman who had walked in. I would be the trust protector. And I would do what Harold had trusted me to do. I made one phone call. That is all it took. One call. 3 sentences. This is Ruth Jennings. Trust number 7724. There's been a violation. The woman on the other end did not ask questions. Did not hesitate. We'll send someone immediately, Mrs. Jennings. Please stay where you are. I hung up. Looked at my face in the mirror one more time. The bruise was spreading. Purple at the center. Red at the edges. Evidence. I opened the bathroom door. The living room had changed. The party atmosphere was gone. Nicole was pacing by the window. Darren was sitting on the couch, head in his hands. They both looked up when I appeared. "Mom." Darren stood. His voice was different now. Softer. Frightened. "Mom, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I just don't." He stopped. "Don't apologize. Don't explain. Don't pretend this was an accident. It was. I swear. I would never. But you did." Nicole stepped forward. Her arms crossed. Her chin lifted. "You're not going to make this into some big thing, are you?" I looked at her. Really looked. Some big thing? A family argument. That's all this was. People lose their tempers. It happens. He hit me, Nicole. "Oh, please." She rolled her eyes. "It was barely a tap." "You're fine." I touched my cheek. The skin was hot. Swollen. "This is barely a tap?" "You're exaggerating." As usual. Darren was watching us. His face pale. "Nicole," he said quietly. "Maybe we should." "Should what? Apologize? Grovel? She's going to hold this over us forever. You know that, right? Every holiday. Every phone call. Remember when Darren hit me on Christmas?" "I'm not going to hold anything over anyone," I said. "Sure you're not. I'm not. Because after tonight, I don't think there will be any more holidays. Or phone calls." Darren's head snapped up. "What does that mean?" I said nothing. Just walked to the chair where I had left my coat. My purse. The gift bag with Harold's scarf still inside. "Mom, what does that mean?" The doorbell rang. Everyone froze. Nicole looked at Darren. Darren looked at me. "Who is that?" Nicole demanded. "Did you call someone?" I did not answer. Just stood there, waiting. The doorbell rang again. Darren went to the door. Opened it. Two people stood on the porch. A man and a woman. Both in dark coats. Both carrying briefcases. "Good evening," the woman said. "We're looking for Ruth Jennings." Darren blinked. "Who are you?" "Margaret Chen, Midwest Trust Administration. This is my colleague, David Walsh. We received a call from Mrs. Jennings approximately 15 minutes ago." I stepped forward. That was me. Margaret's eyes went to my face. To the bruise. Her expression remained professional, but I saw her register it. "Mrs. Jennings, may we come in?" They entered with quiet authority. In a way, they represented the true owners of this property. Nicole was frozen by the window. Her cigarette had burned down to the filter. Ash scattered on the carpet. "What is this?" she demanded. "Who are these people?" "Please, ma'am." David opened his briefcase. "If everyone could sit down, we have some matters to discuss." "Matters? What matters? This is our home. You can't just barge in here." "Nicole." Darren's voice was strange. Tight. "Just sit down." She stared at him. Then at me. Then at the two strangers in her living room. Slowly, she sat. Margaret spread several documents on the coffee table. "Mr. Jennings. Mrs. Jennings." She looked at Darren and Nicole. "I understand this may come as a surprise. But there are some facts about this property you need to understand." Darren leaned forward. "What facts?" "This house is not owned by you. It is held in the Harold R. Jennings Family Trust, established in 2019. You reside here under a conditional occupancy agreement." Nicole's face went white. "What?" "The trust pays the property taxes, the insurance, the maintenance costs. In exchange, you are permitted to live here rent-free, provided certain conditions are met." "What conditions?" Darren's voice cracked. Margaret pulled out a highlighted document. Section 7, Paragraph 3. Occupants shall maintain a safe and healthy environment for all family members, including visiting beneficiaries. Any act of physical violence, abuse, or deliberate endangerment of a beneficiary's health shall constitute grounds for immediate termination of occupancy rights. Silence. The Christmas tree lights blinked. Red, green, gold. Nicole found her voice first. This is insane. You can't just kick us out of our own house. It's not your house, ma'am. It belongs to the trust. We've lived here for 6 years. Under the trust's permission, which can be revoked. Nicole turned to me. Her eyes were wild, furious. You did this. You planned this whole thing. I didn't plan anything. You came here to trap us. To catch Darren doing something wrong so you could take everything away. I came here for Christmas. With a pie. And a gift. You're lying. Margaret cleared her throat. Mrs. Jennings, the younger Mrs. Jennings, I understand this is difficult. But I should inform you that the trust protector has documented evidence of tonight's events. She gestured toward the phone I was still holding. The photos I had taken. My face. The bruise. Multiple angles. Additionally, Margaret continued, Mrs. Ruth Jennings has a documented medical condition requiring her to avoid secondhand smoke. Her physician's letter is on file with our office. We have observed cigarette smoke in this residence tonight, and there are cigarettes visible on the coffee table. David spoke up. Under Section 7, Paragraph 4, repeated exposure of a beneficiary to known health hazards also constitutes grounds for termination of occupancy rights. Nicole's mouth opened, closed, opened again. This is entrapment. This is illegal. It's contract law, ma'am. You signed the occupancy agreement 6 years ago. Darren had not moved. He was staring at the documents. At the highlighted clauses. At the signatures at the bottom of the page. His signature. Nicole's signature. Harold's signature. Dad set this up, he said quietly. Before he died. Yes, Margaret confirmed. Mr. Harold Jennings was very thorough in his estate planning. He knew. Darren looked at me. He knew something like this might happen. I met his eyes. Your father hoped it wouldn't. But he prepared for the possibility. That I would hit you? That you might forget who you are. What matters? What family means? Nicole stood up. Fast. Angry. This is ridiculous. We're not leaving. This is our home. Our life. You can't just. Ma'am. David's voice was calm. Firm. Under the terms of the trust, you have 72 hours to vacate the premises. 72 hours? After that, we will be required to involve local authorities. You're throwing us out 3 days after Christmas? The trust protector has invoked Section 7. We have no discretion in this matter. Nicole spun toward me. You evil old woman. You've been planning this for years, haven't you? Waiting for your chance to destroy us. I haven't destroyed anything, Nicole. You did that yourselves. Don't you dare put this on me. I asked for one thing tonight. One small kindness. And your husband hit me. You provoked him. I asked to breathe. The room went quiet. Darren was crying. Silently. Tears running down his face. I looked at him. My son. My baby. The boy I had loved more than my own life. Darren. He did not look up. Darren, look at me. Slowly, he raised his head. I didn't want this, I said. I never wanted this. Then don't do it. His voice broke. Please, Mom, don't take our home. I'm not taking anything. The trust has rules. You broke them. I made a mistake. One mistake. You hit your mother. I know. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. For a moment, just a moment, I wavered. He looked so small, so lost. Like the little boy who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. But then I remembered. The loan papers. The drunk driving. The years of silence. The cold shoulders. The dismissals. Nicole's cruelty. Darren's indifference. This was not one mistake. This was the culmination of a long, slow erosion. And if I gave in now, if I let it go, like I always had, nothing would change. It would only get worse. I'm sorry too, I said. More than you know. Then stop this. Call them off. I can't. You're the trust protector. You have the power. I also have the responsibility. To protect the trust. To honor your father's wishes. Dad would never want this. Your father is the one who wrote these rules, Darren. He saw this possibility. Long before I did. Nicole laughed. A harsh, bitter sound. Perfect. Just perfect. The dead man gets the last word. He usually did, I said quietly. Well, I hope you're happy, Ruth. You've destroyed your own family. I looked at her. At the woman who had resented me from the beginning. Who had turned my son against me. Who had blown smoke in my face and smiled. No, Nicole, I didn't destroy anything. I'm just finally done pretending it wasn't already broken. Margaret stood. Mrs. Jennings. Ruth, do you need medical attention for your injury? No, thank you. I'll see my doctor tomorrow. We'll need a formal statement. And copies of the photographs for our records. Of course. David gathered the documents. We'll be in touch within 24 hours with the formal eviction notice. Mr. and Mrs. Jennings, please begin making arrangements. Nicole was crying now. Angry tears. Darren sat motionless, staring at nothing. I picked up my coat. My purse. The gift bag sat on the chair. Harold's scarf inside. I looked at it for a long moment. Then I left it there. Some gifts are not meant to be given. At the door, I turned back. Darren was watching me, his face wet, his eyes red. Mom, yes? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I nodded. I know you are. Then I walked out into the snow. The cold hit my lungs like medicine. Clean, sharp, real. I stood on the porch for a moment. Let the snowflakes fall on my face. On my bruised cheek. Behind me, I could hear Nicole screaming. Darren sobbing. I did not look back. I had done what needed to be done. What Harold had trusted me to do. Now there was only one thing left. To go home. To heal. To finally breathe. I drove home through the snow. The roads were quiet. Empty. Just me and the white world outside my windshield. I did not turn on the radio. Did not need to fill the silence. For the first time in years, the silence felt peaceful. I arrived home around midnight. The house was dark. Cold. I had not left any lights on. I turned on the lamp in the hallway. The one Harold bought at an estate sale 30 years ago. Brass base. Green glass shade. It cast a warm circle on the wooden floor. I stood there for a moment. Just breathing. Clean air. My air. In my home. Such a simple thing. Such a precious thing. I did not sleep that night. I made tea. Sat at the kitchen table. Watched the snow fall through the window. My cheek throbbed. The bruise had deepened to purple. It would take weeks to fully heal. But something else had healed. Something I had not even realized was broken. I had spent so many years carrying a weight I could not name. A heaviness in my chest that never quite went away. Now, sitting alone in my kitchen at midnight on Christmas, I understood what it was. Hope. Not the good kind. The desperate kind. The kind that keeps you holding on to something that is already gone. I had been hoping Darren would change. That he would wake up one day and remember how to love me. That hope had kept me silent. Kept me small. Kept me coming back to a house where I was not welcome, holding pies that no one wanted, wearing smiles that no one believed. Tonight, I had finally let it go. And I was surprised to find that letting go did not feel like loss. It felt like freedom. The next morning, I woke up late. The sun was already high. The snow had stopped. Everything outside was white and still. I made coffee, scrambled eggs, toast with the blackberry jam my neighbor had given me last summer. I ate slowly, tasted every bite. When was the last time I had done that? Eaten without rushing? Without worrying about what came next? I could not remember. Around noon, the phone rang. I looked at the screen. Darren. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, it rang again. Nicole this time. I let that one go too. They called 6 more times that day. I did not answer any of them. Not out of spite, not out of anger. I simply was not ready. And for the first time in my life, I gave myself permission to wait until I was. The voicemails accumulated. Darren's were apologetic, rambling, full of words like mistake, and overreacted, and can we please talk? Nicole's were different, angry at first, then desperate, then something close to pleading. Ruth, you can't do this. We have nowhere to go. Think about what you're doing to this family. I thought about that word. Family. What did it truly mean? Shared blood? Shared history? Or was it something else? Something earned, not simply given? Harold used to say that family is not just the people you are born to. It is the people who show up, who stay, who treat you like you matter. By that definition, I was not sure Darren and Nicole were my family anymore. Maybe they had not been for a long time. 3 days passed. I did not leave the house much. Just small trips. The grocery store, the pharmacy, church on Sunday, where I sat in the back pew and let the hymns wash over me. People noticed my face, the bruise. I told them I had slipped on the ice. Some believed me, some did not. Mrs. Patterson, who sits 2 pews ahead of me, squeezed my hand after the service. Whatever happened, she said quietly, I'm glad you're still standing. I did not know what to say. So I just squeezed back. On the 4th day, I received a letter. Not from Darren. From Margaret Chen, the trust administrator. It was a formal notice. Darren and Nicole had vacated the property as required. The locks had been changed. The house was now under the trust's direct management until further notice. There was a second page. A handwritten note. Mrs. Jennings Ruth, I've been doing this work for 15 years. I've seen a lot of families torn apart by money, by pride, by silence. What you did took courage. I hope you know that. Wishing you peace in the new year. Margaret. I read it 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and placed it in my jewelry box. Next to Harold's wedding ring. A week later, I finally listened to all the voicemails. Darren's last one was different from the others. His voice was quiet, tired, no more excuses, no more anger. Mom, I know you're not going to answer. I don't blame you. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, not just for what happened at the party. I mean, yes, for that too. But for everything. For the way I've treated you. For choosing Nicole's comfort over your health. For making you feel like you didn't matter. A long pause. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know if it can be fixed. But I want you to know that I remember. I remember who you were to me. Who you still are, even if I forgot for a while. Another pause. I love you, Mom. I'm sorry it took me so long to say it. The message ended. I sat with the phone in my hand for a long time. I did not call him back. Not yet. Some wounds need time before you can touch them. But I did not delete the message either. February came. The snow melted. The days grew longer. I started taking walks again. Short ones at first. Then longer. Around the block. Through the park. Past the library where Darren used to check out dinosaur books when he was 6. I thought about him on those walks. Not the man who hit me. The boy he used to be. I wondered if that boy was still in there somewhere. Buried under years of wrong choices and harmful influences. I hoped so. But I had learned that hope, by itself, is not enough. People have to choose to change. You cannot do it for them. In March, I received another letter. This one was from Darren. Handwritten. 3 pages. He told me he and Nicole had separated. She had gone to stay with her sister in Phoenix, Arizona. He was renting a small apartment on the east side of Columbus. He had started seeing a therapist. Was attending AA meetings, even though he did not consider himself an alcoholic. But maybe I was heading that direction, he wrote. Maybe I already was. He did not ask for anything. Did not mention the house or the trust. He simply wanted me to know he was trying. I don't expect you to forgive me, he wrote. I'm not sure I would, if I were you. But I want to become someone worth forgiving. Someday. Even if it takes the rest of my life. I read that letter sitting on my porch. The spring sun warm on my face. I cried. Not sad tears. Not happy ones either. Something in between. The kind of tears that come when something frozen finally begins to thaw. I wrote him back. A short note. Just a few lines. Darren, I received your letter. I'm glad you're getting help. I'm not ready to talk yet. But I wanted you to know I read every word. And I'm proud of you for trying. Mom. I mailed it the next day. It is June now. The flowers are blooming. My roses are coming in beautifully. Harold planted them the year we moved in. I have kept them alive ever since. Darren and I have spoken twice. Short phone calls. Careful words. Nothing resolved. But nothing broken further either. He is still in therapy. Still going to meetings. Still trying. I do not know if we will ever be close again. Some bridges, once burned, cannot be rebuilt the same way. But maybe we can build something new. Something smaller. Something honest. That is enough for now. I think about that Christmas night sometimes. Not with anger. Not even with sadness anymore. With clarity. I think about the woman who walked into that house with a pie and a gift and a heart full of desperate hope. And I think about the woman who walked out. They are not the same person. The first woman was kind. Patient. Forgiving to a fault. The second woman is still kind. Still patient. But she has learned something important. Forgiveness is not the same as permission. You can forgive someone and still refuse to let them hurt you again. You can love someone and still walk away. You can be a mother and still be a person. Harold knew this. He tried to teach me. Ruthie, he said once, near the end, promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll protect yourself. Even from the people you love. Especially from them. I did not understand then. I do now. The trust he built. The clauses he wrote. They were not about control. They were about love. Real love. The kind that sets boundaries. The kind that says I will help you, but I will not let you destroy yourself or me in the process. He gave me a gift that night. The gift of permission. Permission to stand up. To speak. To leave. Permission to finally put myself first. If you are listening to this story, if you have stayed with me until the end, I want to tell you something. You are not invisible. Your needs are not a burden. Your voice matters. It does not matter if you are 20 or 40 or 68. It does not matter if the person hurting you is a stranger or a spouse or your own child. You deserve respect. You deserve safety. You deserve to breathe. And if someone tries to take those things from you, even someone you love, you have the right to say no. You have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to walk out into the snow and start again. I am sitting on my porch as I tell you this. The sun is setting. The sky is pink and gold. Somewhere out there, my son is eating dinner alone in his apartment. Maybe thinking of me, maybe not. Somewhere out there, a woman I once called my daughter-in-law is starting over in Arizona. And here, in this little house in Westerville, Ohio, I am at peace. Not because everything worked out perfectly, but because I finally learned to stop waiting for someone else to give me permission to live. Harold's picture is on the table beside me. I look at it sometimes and tell him about my day. Tonight, I will tell him about finishing this story. About finding the words. I kept the promise, I will say. I protected myself. I protected what you built. You would be proud. I like to think he is listening. I like to think he knows. Thank you for staying with me through this story. Thank you for listening to an old woman talk about the hardest night of her life. I shared this because I know I am not alone. Because somewhere out there, someone else is sitting in a corner at a party, trying to breathe. Someone else is being told that their needs do not matter. Someone else is wondering if they are allowed to stand up and walk away. You are. You always were. If this story meant something to you, if it made you feel less alone, even for a moment, I would be so grateful if you would subscribe to this channel. Please hit that like button. Turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Not for me. For the next person who needs to hear this. For the next Ruth, sitting alone, waiting for permission. Let us make sure she finds us. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and most importantly, stay true to yourself. Good night, friends.